That's how I knew it was nervous gas, because it happens to me too.
I'm glad it's not just me. Hello and welcome to the Rewrite Your Story community. This podcast was created to inspire others to take power back into their own lives. I'm here to share the stories and tools that I have learned through my own life experiences and my guests as well to help you rewrite your story forever. This podcast is best paired with an open mind and a journal, so let's get comfy and dive right in. Hello and welcome to the Rewrite Your Story podcast. For those of you who have joined online, you will see that we have a beautiful guest with us this week. So Alyssa, before we jump into things, I'd love it if you could just introduce yourself and tell the listeners a little bit about you.
Sure. I'm very excited to be here, first of all. So thank you for having me. My
You're
name
welcome.
is Alysa at Your Wellness Bestie, and I am currently in Connecticut. And we met through a coaching certification program called Hungry for Happiness, which has been so cool to meet you through that.
Yeah, it's been awesome meeting you through there too. Like I looked at a bunch of different certification programs before even picking this one, and I'm like, I wanted this one because of the community and with the people that I've been meeting through this. I'm like, this was definitely the right place. And for those of you guys watching, you won't be aware, but Alyssa and I, we talk a little like on social media, we like each other's stuff and like we'll cheer each other on. But today was the first time we'd actually like sat down and spoke to each other. And off camera, we've been chatting for like an hour and over 40 minutes because we're like, oh, hey, we need to talk about this. We're talking about this. And then we're like, okay, we need to actually just get into recording the goddamn episode. So we're here. We finally got some content for you. But yeah, we've just like clicked. And I feel like I get that a lot with girls in this course is that we just, I think because we're all here for the same purpose, we're all here for the same sort of stuff. It's like we just already like are vibing with each other. It's really, really cool. But yeah, she's stuck with me now. I don't think she realizes, but like she's stuck with me.
I'll gladly be stuck with you.
Good. And there's a special reason why I brought Alyssa on today. I've shared a lot with you guys about my own journey and my mental health space, even some of my health issues and everything else. But there's a part of this journey that's been huge. There's a part of this journey I have talked to you guys about me being completely med free and all of these things. And there was a really key thing that got me there. And it's a little taboo for some people, but I felt like I have to be fully authentic with you guys and share my story and my journey in this space, because if it helped me, it might help somebody else. And it's an area that I used to be heavily against, really like used to make me angry. And once I just started seeing the benefits of this world, it really opened my eyes, and it's not only changed my life, but I feel like it saved my life. And I wanted to bring Alyssa on because she works a little in this space and knows a lot more about this type of medicine, this type of wellness than I do. But it's the journey with plant medicine, and that encompasses a lot of things. Whether it's CBD, THC, or some people like to just call it weed, like whatever, like even going down the like mushroom realm and all of those things has been part of my journey. And it's something that I used to carry shame and guilt around, just because of especially how the laws in Ireland look at that sort of stuff, where I'm from. But when I moved here to Canada, my dad actually was sending me a bunch of articles saying like, you should try this stuff. He was obviously like, don't smoke. I don't want you to smoke. But smoking's your thing, But he was like, try the oils, try this, and it honestly made a huge difference. Huge difference. And Alyssa works a little in this space. And I just wanted her to really come on and share with us a bit about her story and why she got into it, her why behind it, and a bit more about the science, and knowing a bit about what good these things actually do for you. And if this is not your jam, if this is triggering you, if you're not into it, it's totally fine. You don't need to listen to this episode. But if it's something you're curious about, something you want to know a bit more about, if you were like me, where you were angered or frustrated or scared by this stuff, this episode might be a good time for you to get curious. And I just really invite you guys to just get curious with this episode. You don't have to take anything we say and bring it on board. You can take it or leave it. But this is just a me sharing and Alyssa sharing about a thing that has really, really helped us in our lives. So thank you for being here and having an open mind. And I guess, Alyssa, I want to pass it back to you. You know, we talked a little off camera about how we both kind of started our journey into this space, and I'd love if you could give us a bit of an insight into your why and your how of getting into your plant medicine journey.
Yes, I would love to. I feel like we have a lot of similar stories with our health. And
Yeah.
I do want to start off before I get into it and just say that everybody's health is completely different. Even if you struggle with some of the same or similar things to us, the journey looks completely different for everybody. So don't take what I'm saying as fact for what you should do, because it's going to look different for everybody. And that's really
Yeah.
important. To work with a professional, like when going through this process, to make sure that you're making the right decisions for you. But how it started with me is my whole life I struggled with physical and mental health. And your gut health is directly tied to your mental health. So it made sense that when I was going through my gut health problems, my mental health was also the worst it had ever been.
Yeah.
I'm diagnosed with celiac, colitis, IBS, you name it, all of it. And anxiety, depression. I've had inpatient hospital stays in the psych ward more times than I can count. Um, and it got to a point where like I just didn't want to live anymore. And it wasn't even that I didn't want to live, I didn't know how to. And
Yeah.
part of it was mental health, but part of it was also my physical health. And about 3 years ago, I ended up having to take a 5-month medical leave from my corporate job because my physical health was so bad. And they had me on so many medications. The medications were making my mental health worse. So then I was on mental health meds, and then the meds were making my hair fall out. So then I was on meds for that. And then it was just a spiral. And it's every pill that I took. Sure, maybe it helped one symptom, but it gave me 10 more. And so then it just kept increasing. And I was in this dark hole of, I just couldn't get out of the pill cycle. And these
Yeah.
were all pills that my doctors were prescribing to me. It's not stuff that I was, just doing on my own. Like I was taking them as prescribed, and my health was just deteriorating. And so then I started using CBD products and cannabis based products and educating myself about those. And there's this book, it's called A Woman's Guide to Cannabis. And that book really like opened my eyes to so many things. There's a lot of doctor and medical studies in there, but I started with CBD. And then I, like you, was against THC for a really long time, judgmental
Yeah.
who used it. And especially working in a corporate job, like it's extra caffeine. And in Connecticut, it's not legal unless you have a medical card. And so I did end up getting a medical card, and talking with the people at my dispensary when I first got my card was a huge game changer for me, because I didn't know all of the different strains and terpenes and milligrams and even modalities that you can take things in. And it's like, I remember the first day I ever took, it was a sativa edible, and it was a little mint, and it was from my dispensary. And the girl was like, this is going to help you get out of bed when you feel really depressed. And I'm like, there's so much stigma about like potheads being lazy, sitting on the couch eating snacks. And I was like, what do you mean this is going to get me out of bed? Like,
Yeah.
it did the opposite, and I took this little 2.5 milligram sativa mint, and I hadn't gotten out of bed for 2 days. And I was like, oh, I got a burst of energy. And I was like, let me go take a shower. And I was the first time, like, I showered in way too long. And so I was like, okay, I showered. Well, maybe now I can go to my fridge and get something to eat. And it's like that positive spiral effect. That's what's not talked about. And that's what people don't
Yeah.
realize. Like, it literally saved my life and got me out of bed to the point where I could start functioning. And that functioning put me in an upward spiral. And if you don't mind, I have like a really quick thing I want to read from this
Go
book.
for it.
So like puts it in perspective so well with the stigma of it. So this is that A Woman's Guide to Cannabis book. And she says, cannabis is the only medicine I take, but it doesn't work by itself. I still need to do yoga and move my body through its entire range of motion to keep everything healthy and pain free. I still need to meditate on a daily basis to reduce stress and anxiety. Using cannabis makes it easier for me to do the things I need to do to get and stay healthy because getting high and doing yoga and meditation feels amazing. Food and water taste better, so I eat healthier, and beauty sleep comes more easily. So like even when we're using it, it's part of a whole
Yeah.
wellness package.
And I'm so glad that you read that, because so much of what that you just read in that book was like, yeah, that's what happened. Like, although I didn't know that's what went along with it, when I first started like taking the oils and the capsules and stuff, I wasn't doing the meditation or yoga. That came later. And when I ended up being completely med free, it was when I had that hybrid of the both, where I was actually taking my like CBD, my even my 1-to-1s, my 2-to-2s, my which is like CBD and like THC ratio is the same for those who are curious. So it's a mix of both, and that's when it started to make that huge shift when I was actually paying more attention to my body. Like the two really, really go hand in hand. And we are not bashing conventional medicine, like different strokes for different folks, but with us, we were just getting more negative symptoms than we were positive cures from our medications, and we went elsewhere. Certainly, and I even spoke with my doctors when I was having my change, and like when I was switching, and my doctors here in Canada were so beautiful. They were like, you know your body better than I do. And I was just like, I finally found the right doctor for me, because back home in Ireland, I had doctors who just wanted to give me every pill of every day. And like, you've got to remember, sometimes that's how they make their money and that's what they're doing and that's their job. And it's like if anyone online is just trying to sell stuff to me and give me anything for everything, I'm curious as to why. Like, why are we doing that? And I started getting curious with my doctors, and I'm asking, why are you giving me this? What benefit is this going to have? Like, why are we doing this? And then I started just being able to have the power of saying, actually, can we try something different? Can we try to do this? What about this? And we'd work as a team. And that's when I really found that shift. And going into this plant medicine world, like, I'm so thankful that I live in Vancouver now, because things are legal here in Canada. You don't even need to have a medical card to like go into our dispensaries. And it's so strange when I go into the dispensaries and you fill out the form, they still have the forms. And I actually write down I have all the medical stuff. The staff are like, ooh, like you actually have something. And then we can have a conversation. And similar to you, like the first time I went in to the dispensary, I remember it so clear as day. And I was so nervous. I'm so nervous. I'd never touched like weed in my life. Like I was so scared, and I shouldn't have been. And like they made it a beautiful experience. But I remember talking to the guy after I filled out the form, and I'm like, yeah, like I've never done drugs before. I just don't know what to do. And he's like, what do you mean drugs? And I'm like weed. And he's like, but it's not a drug. It's a medicine. Like it's here to like it helps. It's a benefit. And I was like, oh no, I don't mean any disrespect. Like it's not like it's just how it is in my world. And like I was with like my ex boyfriend at the time, and he was just like, don't worry, she's a bit of a wet blanket. Like she gets nervous about this stuff. And he's like, yeah, I can tell. It's okay. And like they kind of laughed, and like that made it a more comfortable experience. And they had like CBD infused water, which I was like, oh, well, that doesn't seem like a drug, using air quotes. And I tried that, and I tried this little like dropper that they put under my tongue. And with a lot of my medical conditions, like severely with the pain, like the chronic pain that I had from my POTS and my joint problems, I really struggled to sleep. And then even when I had really, really strong painkillers and knocked me out, sometimes my heart issue would flare up and it would wake me up. And so I was battling two really difficult things. And when I started exploring those like CBD and THC products, they just had me have the best sleep. And I used to be on sleeping tablets and antidepressants that would just knock me out. And you'd wake up from that sleep and you'd feel like a zombie. Like it didn't feel like you were rested. And when I started using THC and CBD, especially together, the inflammation would go down, the pain would be released, and I would sleep, and I would properly sleep, not waking up in the middle of the night, not getting stirred. And when I woke up feeling completely rested, and like when I can, I'm like, as I'm saying it, I'm kind of remembering like those moments. And I remember like waking up and just crying because I'm like, oh my gosh, like it doesn't hurt. I was able to sleep, and like I started to feel like I was getting my life back. Like it felt like it had been taken from me for so long, from mental health issues, from physical health issues. And something that's simple as oil that came from a leaf of a plant that's on this earth. Like the things that are on this earth are here to literally heal us. Like it's crazy how we can run from it just because we're told by like the world or society that like it's bad and dangerous. Like don't get me wrong, everything using little in moderation, like there's extremes to all stuff here, but it can really, really help. Like it blew my mind. And like it's something you can maybe speak to a bit better than me, Alyssa, but like a lot of things like inflammation for one, like I used to have to take super, super crazy painkillers for some of my joint problems. And it would take a while. Like doctors would be like, you have to take this for like 3 months before you start noticing difference. But when I'd take like even just CBD on its own, within like half an hour, my knees would feel better. Even I'd notice my vision would be sharper. Like color was better. Like I noticed you were like, so yeah, share, like
Yeah.
talk, tell me more.
Okay, so this is where like I completely nerd out. Like I love learning about this kind of stuff. And something I didn't learn up until like maybe a year ago is that the reason that it's so effective for us, our bodies as humans, we have like a nervous system, a digestive system, all of those things, but also inside of our bodies, if if you want to Google this, if you're home and want to Google this, it's called ECS, the endocannabinoid system. And it's literally a system inside of our bodies designed with receptors, and it regulates and balances like our immune response, our cell communication, our appetite, metabolism, brain health, eye health, memory, all of it. And so that's like, and our bodies are literally designed to be able to consume this plant in a healing way. And there's over 100 different cannabinoids in the cannabis plant. THC is just one of them, and THC is the only one that gets you high. So if you're nervous about the high part of it, there's all of these other cannabinoids that don't have those psychoactive effects, but still have the healing properties. Like CBD is the most common one, but CBG is really good for eye health and it's really good for gut health. And then CBN is a natural sedative. And so that one's really good for sleep. And there's no risk of like the prescription sleep meds with the side effects that you would get from that. Like it's not addictive like in that way. And so your body just responds so much better, and that's why you don't have like you don't have to take it for 3 months to feel well,
Yeah,
because your body's designed to consume it.
that's really cool. I had no idea. I had no idea that that was even a thing. But, and I guess that's kind of why you had that moment,
Yeah,
because you're like,
you
yes,
just said
this,
eyes. Yeah.
yeah. And that was the biggest thing for me, like the biggest observation for me, because I was never expecting my vision to feel better.
Yeah.
Like I remember saying to my ex, like, well, not ex, but I remember saying to him, like, I can, like, things are clear. And he's like, what do you mean things are clear? And I'm like, no, you don't get it. Like, things are clear. Like, one of my health conditions is called POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and it affects your autonomic nervous system, which is all of your rest and digest, all the stuff you don't think about, like temperature control, digestion, pupil dilation, brain fog, all of those things. And CBD just on its own was like a miracle for me. Absolute miracle. Like you, I was on so many pills, so many things. I was like popping them like they were candies. And this just it blew my mind. And like we know our bodies. Like we know them. And one of the things that I found, like the more I looked into this world, I don't know a single person who isn't on some sort of medication, whether it's pain meds, whether it's digestive meds, blood pressure tablets, digestive things, everyone's on something. And I'm like, surely that's not how it should be. Like, we should be fueling our bodies correctly. We should be looking after our bodies. Like, if someone was driving a car that was always broken, that always needed maintenance, you'd be like, get rid of that car and buy a new one. Like, why are so many of us have so many conditions? We all are diagnosed with something. We all have so many things, and we just accept it, and we continue to take what as we're prescribed, and we live in that cycle instead of fixing it. We put band-aids on bullet wounds. We fix things on the surface. And I think I talked about this 2 episodes ago with Tasha, where I'm like, about I referenced the leak on the ceiling. I'm like, you don't just plaster it, you find the root and fix it. Like, I feel like if we really delved into like what Alyssa was talking about, kind of how your brain and your gut, it's one and the same. I think I've heard before someone referencing that your gut's your second brain, like the two go hand in hand. Like, if we start listening to these parts of our bodies and making those connections and looking at how we can heal them and work with them, instead of just pop a painkiller and we'll deal with it later, or let the problem just get bigger and bigger. Like, Alyssa and I both, like, as we were talking off camera, we kind of got to the point where our health conditions were consuming our life and at the worst they could be. And it took us to get to the worst of the worst before we looked elsewhere. And I'd love for anybody that's curious to, reach out, have a chat. If you're open to exploring other possibilities and things out there, like, again, this is an opportunity to get curious. We're not telling you that because this worked for us, you have to try it. It's like anything on here. I'm just sharing what's worked with me in hopes that you guys might find benefits to it. And even, I think, with this episode, just remove the stigma a little that comes around those things. But if you've got questions, like, reach out, get curious. And if you know anybody in your community, in your friend group that's tried these sorts of things, again, just get curious. But I know Alyssa's here. She, as you just heard, she knows some of the sciencey stuff. And that stuff, I'm a big nerd. For anybody that doesn't know, like, I'm a huge geek. I love nerding out on nature and stuff. I think I ranted about that in my episode last week about shells. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. But I get all nerdy about nature, and I'm very much like, oh, nature did this, and look at this, and this is in the world. Like, the world has created everything that we need on it. We just got to utilize it correctly. And I'd love to know, like, any more science info that you have on these products, because I can sit and talk about how good they've done for me, and you can too. But when, through your journey, obviously you were on medication and now you're not, you're med free. High five for that. Like, I'm sure there were some things you had to figure out, like what worked well for this and what worked well for that and why. Like, do you have any more sciencey info that you'd like to share with us that you think listeners might benefit from?
I do. So one of the coolest things that I ever had explained to me in terms of, so the cannabis plant on its own, like, it's anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, antibacterial, antifungal, it's a pain reliever, anti-anxiety, and antidepressant. But so all of those are great and all of those are super impactful. The one that
Magic.
me, what was that?
That's just already magic to me. And you're like, there's more?
Okay, but wait till you hear this.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm sitting down.
Everybody, you're about to have your mind blown. So we hear about antioxidants all the time, and there's a lot of like hype and marketing about people selling antioxidant products. So that got me curious, because I'm like, why is there so much hype? Like, what do antioxidants really do? And as we age, when we think of age-related illness, we think of like memory loss, or like brains starting to dysfunction and like losing memory, and heart issues. And that's all of plaque and calcification building up on the brain and the heart, which the media or society will tell us it just comes with age. It's a natural part of aging, right? But what that actually comes from is that when we deep fry foods, which is a lot of the foods in today's day and age, the chemical reaction of the oil, when it gets heated to that temperature and then consumed, it puts out free radicals, and free radicals then go into our body and they speed up that calcification process on our heart and our brain. So if you think about, like, if you leave a banana out too long, it's the natural process of the banana to turn brown and rot. Humans are the same way. It's our natural process to have plaque build up, calcify, and then it's our time to pass. But fried foods exponentially speed up that process, which is why people are having health issues and Alzheimer's and all of these memory and brain issues now in their 50s instead of their 80s, is because of the food that we're consuming. And cannabis is the number one plant, medicine, anything out there to reduce and slow down that plaque and calcification buildup and fight the free radicals that we're putting into our body so that we're not artificially speeding up that oxidation process in our body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
In all of the medical journey journals that are coming out with research now, because there's always so much research, especially now that in the states, certain states are starting to legalize it. There's so many medical journals, and that's what their focus has been on, using it as treatment for age related illnesses like that because of the antioxidant property in it.
That's insane. I had no idea. None.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I'm also glad I had to stop eating fried foods a good few months ago, so that makes me feel a wee bit better. I really miss fried foods. Fried chicken's literally like life to me.
Well,
And
it's all about balance, but that's why you have stuff like this to combat it so that it's not
yeah,
just taking in, the fried foods, but like you can take it in and, balance it out.
yeah, that's insane. I did not know that. You were right. You were like, you had some more juicy info for us, and boom, there it was. Holy shit. Did any of you guys know this info? Like, is this new to you too? I'd love for you guys to like let us know, like below, comments, wherever, reach out to us. Let us know, like, if that blew your mind as much as it blew mine. Cause yeah, I had no idea. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I think so many of us are curious about, you know, the cannabis world, and even like, going into the psychedelics from a shroom perspective. Like, people get curious about this stuff, but then no one actually sits. Well, I say no one. I'm sure some people do. You clearly did. But sits down and actually does the research. Like, I feel like we wear busyness as like a badge of honor, and we're like, I'm too busy to look into that thing. So I'm like, I'll just set it and forget it. But it's something I'm curious about. But like, when I actually took time, I didn't feel like I had the time to educate myself. So I went to places and went to people that could educate me and that I believed in, and Alyssa now being one of them. Where I went to people that I trusted and I felt knew the information, who could guide me, because I didn't have the time, but I made time to at least get curious and explore with them.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did. And it's one of those things, like, if you go online, it's tricky to find info there, because who's putting that out there in the world? What's their background? So it's just about finding people that you trust. And like you guys have known from day one, any guest I bring on here, it's because they have impacted my life in a certain way that I've, found benefit from working with them. So there's no one I bring on here that I don't trust and believe and feel that you guys can reach out to as well. So if you're curious, get on creeping with Alyssa, shoot her some messages. Like, although she works in this space and she has a business within this space and sells products, she's here to also just listen and support and give you guys advice, whether she can help you or not. That's what she's here for. And I'm just so happy that she's like willing to share her gifts and her knowledge with you guys. It's just so beautiful. It really means a lot to have you here. When you speak with people who are first kind of delving into this world, what's the most common things you see? Like, common symptoms that people are coming to you with, or common things, or even common realizations? What are the first kinds of things you typically see from people when they first reach out to you about this kinds of products?
Yeah, so there's two main ones, and that's one of the reasons why I take so much time to like research and geek out and like nerd out about all of this stuff. Because right in the beginning of the episode, too, you're like, I don't know why people are like selling all this stuff, and like it made you get curious. But that's why, because everybody and their mother is selling something online right now, and so it's like, and if it's something I'm taking and I'm going to, share, like I better damn well know what I'm putting in my body and where it's sourced and where it's coming from and what the lab tests are and what's the science behind it, because it's my own health on the line but also
Yeah.
everybody else. So like that's why I got so into researching it. And the two main things that people come to me, well, first of all, people are scared to fail a drug test if that's an issue, but there are so many options where, like I said, there's over 100 cannabinoids. You will not fail a drug test with most of them. So it's just about knowing what is best for you and your lifestyle. If you have to pass drug tests, like you're going to be looking at a different pool of options as somebody who doesn't, but one's not better or worse than the other. You know, they're both still super effective. And the other one that I get the most is sleep. People are so struggling with sleep right now.
Yeah.
And I think that again goes back to, especially since COVID, like if you even just look at alcohol sales, it's like skyrocketed. And that
Hmm.
messes with your sleep cycles so bad. I'm not saying never drink, but I'm just saying there are better ways to sleep well and like for your health. And yeah, people are stressed out, people are overworked. We have shitty food, even if we're eating organic, plant based, like the nutrients in our food. There's another study that I just recently saw that um, 60 years ago, you could eat two peaches and get like a certain amount of nutrients, whatever, for your body. I don't remember the exact math, but to get that same amount of nutrients from two peaches today from an organic farm, you would have to eat 56 peaches because our
Holy
soils
shit.
are so depleted. And so it's like our bodies are struggling, and we need to help out our bodies any way we can. And that goes back to going back to the earth and like going back to plants and sleep. Like sleep is where your body repairs itself. If you're not getting good sleep, that trickles into every other area
Yeah.
of your life, your relationships, your career, your friendships, your family, everything.
It's very true. And like, I know I keep reverting back to technology, but like, think of sleep like your battery on your laptop or your phone. Like you start seeing that battery go down and down, and we all know, especially when that little 5% comes, especially on your Mac, when it flashes red, like you're like, oh shit, and you grab your charger and you shove it in. But with yourself, you will let your battery completely run on empty. And just to like be real with you guys, it's a little scary, but you if you let your battery just keep draining and draining and draining on your laptop, it switches off. The same thing will happen with your body. If you keep depleting it and running it to the ground, your body attacks itself and it will shut down and it will no longer be. And like I've shared this with you guys briefly and snippets in some of my other episodes, but like my heart condition, like I've had 4 surgeries on my heart now. Two were pretty heavy, and in the first one, my heart stopped. I was technically dead for a matter of moments. And even after getting that wake up call, I still treated my body like shit. Still treated it like shit because I had medicine there to back it up and save me. And then I started listening to people who are saying the things that I'm saying now. And I was just like, yeah, like, why am I treating my phone on my laptop better than I treat myself? Yeah, exactly. Mic drop, right? Like, you, and I say this in almost every fucking episode, you can't help those around you unless you're helping you. You can't put the best foot forward in this world unless you're giving yourself your best. Like I see it with even the beautiful young moms that are out in this world and single parents who are just so tired and drained. They will give their kid the right food, but they will eat crap for themselves and they'll deplete themselves and then they'll feel run down. Like you don't just owe it to you, but you owe it to the future, your future, to treat yourself well. I think I even said it in my episode yet that I recorded for next week, or well, I guess it'll be last week when this comes out, is if you have a diesel car, why would you put petrol in it? And vice versa. Like you need to start looking at you as this vessel, this container that needs to be charged and supported and you know just fueled correctly so it can be at its optimum. When we are in this self-help world, we always talk about frequencies and energies. Like you feel good and you feel like you're already doing great in this world, amazing. But what if it could be even better? What if you could make an even better impact in this world? Like there's this quote that I came across a couple of years ago and it was like, I always wondered why someone didn't do something about that. And then I realized I was someone. Like, there's things that you in life that you're like, I wish I could do that someday. I really want to do that. Oh, but I can't because I have these problems, or I can't because of this. If you start getting curious and explore with your body, and talk to your doctors, talk to your medical support people, and naturopath, whoever it may be, Alysa, like, and start looking at things that can help cure these things. Like, when I talk about my journey with medical medicines, these were pills that I was told I'd have to be on for the rest of my life. And when I started exploring my journey with plant medicine, I would take them for bursts. I didn't need to have to take this stuff every day and all the time. At the beginning, I took it for a more sustained period because it my body was needing to heal. And when it got to a point where I felt like, honestly, like, it sounds so pathetic to say, but like, I wasn't in pain anymore. Like, anymore. Like, my vision, like, you've no idea when I'm telling you, like, I could see, like, I could see. And I was told, like, I'd never be able to dance again. I wouldn't be able to do all these things. And I just accepted that as truth. And when I started to take THC and CBD and those beautiful things that are here to fix you, it genuinely worked. Last summer, I got a bike, which I was told I would never be able to do. And I would bike in 45 kilometers every other day on my bike. My heart rate would be, stable as well within that. I used to lay in my bed with a resting heart rate of 150 beats per minute, like, resting. And that's dangerous for those who don't know that. So, like, if I had to do anything on top of that, it would just skyrocket. I would pass out. I couldn't function. There was a point in my life I couldn't even stand up in a shower and have a shower by myself because I would faint. And through trying everything, I just didn't want to give up on my body. And I want to remind you guys the same, like, you don't need to give up on you. If you're someone listening right now who has a shitty relationship with their body, if you don't trust your body, if you don't like it, if you get pissed at it, I want you to remember that your body has brought you through everything that you have lived in your life up until this moment. It will be with you for the future. We need to start talking better to our bodies. We need to start fueling our bodies. And we need to start fucking listening to our bodies. Please, that's your homework for this week. I give you guys homework every week. Talk to yourself better and treat it better. Literally think about what you're fueling your body with. Like, go back to the car. Would you put diesel in a petrol engine? Hell no. So what are you going to put in your body? And listen to it. Instead of grabbing something to numb a pain or hide it, why is that happening? And how can I help make that better? Just listen. Like, doing this has saved my life. Like, Alysa, like, I want to chime in here and, like, do you feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or am I going on a rant?
No, I'm covered in goosebumps. I feel like everybody needs to tell us something. Leave a comment about something that you love about your body, because there are going to be days where you struggle to find that one thing. And it would be so cool to have a list of everybody listing theirs to come back to
Yes.
and be like, oh, wait, I didn't think that. I love that about my body too. And guess what? Even if you can't think of something one day, this is what I love to do when I'm having like a negative body self talk day, is I'll be like, okay, look, I have hands. I'm so grateful for my hands because I'm able to be watching this on my phone right now. I'm so grateful for my eyes because I can watch this on my phone right now. Like, I'm so grateful for my arms because I can reach up to my cabinet and get the snack that I want. Like, starting there, and it seems so silly and like small. But if that's where you're at, you don't need to try and jump from 0 to 100 to loathing your body to being obsessed with yourself. You only have to get that one next step. So if you absolutely like hate how you feel in your body right now, try to just hate it a little bit. and then try to just dislike it, and just slowly work your way up, one baby step feeling or emotion at a time. Because once you start feeling back into your body again, that's how you learn how to trust it and how to know what your body is asking for, and if that's taking you to natural remedies for your health, or asking better questions to your doctor, or doing research on your own. First, you have to get into your body so you know what it's telling you.
Mm-hmm. Hell yes. Hell yes. Oh, and you know what? For those of you who are like, how do I even get into my body? Where do I begin? There will be courses that Alyssa, maybe even the two of us will be developing at some point in the not too, I'm sure, far future. So keep an eye out for this. Like, I keep bringing on people who I've met through my course who are building their own programs and things here too. So whether it's something I build, whether it's something Alyssa builds, or it's something we do together, or one of the other girls in the course, if to help you guys start to even know how to get into your body, or where to get into your body and where to begin, we'll guide you there. This is not a process that is going to land overnight. This is a journey. This is a whole discovery process. But that's why we're here, just giving you these little tidbits, these little nuggets of information that if you want to know more, we are here to help you get there. And for anybody listening to this who's like, how do you get in your body? Where would be a good place to start? I'd say go hop and listen to my episode from last week with Danica. We actually do a bit of a breathwork session, and it just gets you into your body. Check it out. See if that works for you. But we're here to just help and facilitate you guys through this journey. We've done it. We're continually doing it. It doesn't stop. You get to a point where you think you're great. And like I said, what if? What if we could get that little bit better? And Alyssa and I are both living proof of that. And like I mentioned, this isn't something we're not trying to sell you anything. We're not trying to push anything on you. We're just sharing something that's worked for us. I'd love to know, Alyssa, for you, when you first started, and I know you mentioned that you took the mint, that was your thing. They're like, oh, I can get out of bed. But what were the first kinds of things and products that you used as being a newbie and exploring, and why did you go to them?
Yeah, so the main ones that I used right at the beginning were those little mints. And then I like the vape pens a lot because,
Mm-hmm.
I rent, so I don't want like smells or anything anywhere in my house. And I like that because I like, okay, let me pick one. I'm getting both of them in my head and going to talk about them both at once. Let me
It's
think.
okay.
So with the mints, I like them because like it hits you really fast when you do it as an edible. So it's like when I need instant support to like boost my mood, boost my energy. If I'm having a really down, low, depressive day, like that pulls me out of my funk and gives me within 10 minutes like a burst to get up and be like, okay, I'm energized, I'm not jittery, like what can I do? Like let me just get in the shower, and then it's that positive upward spiral. But then with the vape pens, I like it because I can control more of like my dosage. So like if I'm having a very anxious moment or a very overwhelmed moment, the strain that I have in my vape pen is an indica, and so it's one that kind of slows you down. And so then I'll take just one hit of my pen.
There was a TV show I heard once, and it always makes me remember which one's the sleepy one and which one's the awake one, because they were like, yeah, indica, like in the couch.
Yes,
And
yes,
I'm like,
that too.
yeah, that's the sleepy one.
Yeah. Yeah, and so with that it's like if you have too much of it, then you're going to be like the stereotypical eating snacks on the couch, right? But like
Yeah.
I the vape pen because I can control how much I'm consuming at once.
Yeah.
And on the note of like being in your body, and building that relationship with your body, if you're somebody that struggles because you have trouble eating, the indica strain boosts your appetite, and THC in general boosts your appetite. So like when I was having really bad digestive flare-ups and I was so nauseous I couldn't eat, that's how I got myself to eat. And then on the flip side, CBD is a natural appetite suppressant. So if you're somebody who struggles with binge eating or just struggles with an unhealthy weight and you want to feel better in your body, CBD is a natural way to like get back in your body.
I didn't
And
know that.
yeah, because it's all tied to emotional too. So like when the CBD, it helps like calm your nerves and stuff like that. You're not reaching to food out of like blind coping. because it's also controlling like your gut health.
That's crazy. And like you mentioned earlier, the CBN is like for
And
sleep and stuff.
yeah,
Like
I will also use that for sleep.
that's crazy that like not only one is this stuff come from plants, like straight up plants.
Yeah,
Two, as you mentioned earlier, we have that nervous system part within our body that's literally designed to digest this stuff and have it actually heal our bodies. And when you talk about all the different parts of it, like all the different kinds of CBD and the THC and all the things, it it's like a no-brainer to me. I'm like, how is this not the first thing your doctors are putting in your hand?
that's what I'm saying. Why do we not learn about this in school? Like it has so many
Yeah.
medicinal properties, and all we learn about is it's bad, it gets you high, it's a gateway drug, it's all of this thing. Like, do you want to look at the stats of how many people have died from opioids the last year, alcohol the
Yeah.
last year? Like, no. Like, and like getting a glass of wine, getting drunk with your friends, like that's totally normalized. And I'm not like necessarily bashing that. Like, I
Of
absolutely
course.
drink with my friends, but it's like, why is there so much negative stigma on smoking a joint when it has all of these
Yeah.
healing properties and nobody's ever died from it?
I never in a million years would I have thought that I would be one on my own podcast talking about my experience with weed and plant medicine. Like I was someone,
For myself either.
yeah, and like when if I would like think of a stoner, and I don't call myself a stoner because I don't feel like I fit that mold of a stoner, but I would be someone who would be very much an advocate for cannabis, for legalizing cannabis, for educating about what beauties and what gifts this plant has for your body and the world. And I sit and look at us two right now, like anybody who's watching on YouTube, I'm like, are these the types of faces, the types of people that you would think of when you think of people who are big advocates for cannabis? Like, I,
And not for nothing, but like we're both sitting here, we're female entrepreneurs building our own businesses, literally like blood, sweat, and tears from the ground up, like
yeah,
super creative people, motivated, inspired, like wanting to like make a difference in the world. Like that's what the vision of cannabis needs to be, because that's what it like without cannabis, I would have zero creativity. Like, are you kidding me? I take a hit of my pen and come up with my best business ideas that make me sign new clients, you know? Like I would not be the businesswoman that I am without cannabis.
yeah, for sure. Hell yeah.
Yes, that's like you. Like literally everything that we are is that needs to be the face of cannabis. That's what we need everybody listening to this to come together and like
Yeah,
help rebrand cannabis.
completely. And like, and that's why I wanted to share my story, although there's a bit of taboo, although there's a bit of like, whatever, this might upset some people. I'm at the point now where I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're offended by what we're saying here or you're like, I don't want to hear this. You don't want to hear it. I'm not the person you want to be listening to. Like, it's cool. Not everybody's for everybody. But I feel like I'm doing you guys a disservice if I don't share a huge thing that has not just helped me but cured me and healed me. Like I I've known this works, and I guess sorry that I didn't share it with you sooner. I just wanted to share it with you when I found someone who had the knowledge and knows the science. I love to know the actual why. I don't just want someone to tell me why. I want to know the science for it. And like Alyssa said, she encouraged you to go look at those things yourself. But and thank you for creating that space where I feel comfortable to share this. Like it means so much to have you here. But and I just want you guys to, as I say, I said this earlier, get curious. Think like if you've ever taken on, if you listen to some of my episodes and you take on some of the things that I've said and you've tried to implement them, this is just another thing. It's just a little bit different because there's so many taboos and regulations and stuff around it. But like it's it's worth exploring if you're curious. Reach out to Alyssa, ask her some questions. And I feel like this is maybe a good time to ask, like, if these people do want to find you, if they do have questions for you, how can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I just want to say that I am really proud of you because I know that this was hard to open up about. And I was telling you earlier, I didn't open up about this myself on social media until 6, 8 months ago. So I just want to celebrate you for that because that is amazing.
Thank you.
And for anybody who wants to chat about it or ask questions, honestly, I'm an open book. I will share the exact resources that I've used to educate myself, the books, the articles, all of that. My own experience, I'm an open book about, but you can DM me on Your Wellness Bestie on Instagram. I also have an email address, yourwellnessbestie@gmail.com. And I love talking about it and I love educating people on it. And so even if you're skeptical or come to me with like, I can't do it because XYZ, like, I just want to hear it. Let's just have an open conversation about it. And I'll share my experience and I'll share my resources and let you make your own decision.
I love that. See, you get why I have her here? Like, you get it, right? Like, she's just, oh, ah,
I'm so
I'm,
grateful to be here.
I'm so glad to have you here. Like, you just light me up, dude. Like, we had a very few special moments as well off camera, but like, yeah, like I know I said at the start of this episode, but like, girl, you stuck with me. You are stuck with me.
We're stuck together, girl.
Before I let you go, Alyssa, are there any last words of wisdom that you would love to give people who are maybe curious about this world or have been skeptical? And then also any other like facts or things that you want to flip out there? Have we done enough sciencey stuff? I'm not sure if we've done enough. So I want to like just probe you if there's any last things that you want to drop in for people.
Yeah, so the last like just sciency thing, I don't know the general age of people listening, but in terms of age, everything that we talk about is generally better for like mid 20s and older because before your mid 20s your brain still is developing a lot of different ways. And so, like here and there in terms of smoking, like taking the edibles or like the mints that I did or gummies or something like that. It's different, but it's the smoking part of it. It
I
just
love gummies. They're
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, the science part of it, and I'm not going to try and regurgitate it because I don't remember the exact science part of it, but it's from that A Woman in Cannabis book. It's not great, the best if you're like in your teens, but past
Yeah.
your teens, that's where you see the true medicinal healing properties of it. And I just encourage you to just do your own research. Like, don't take what just one person says. Don't take just what I say as fact. That's how I learned so much about it. That's how I ended up choosing the products that I am going to consume, both from my dispensary and from different online retailers. Like, I didn't just take one person. There's so much information out there, but there's also a lot of misinformation out
Yeah.
there. So just be curious about where the information is coming from, not only the information, but where it's sourced from. And with these plants, the good ones will all have transparent lab results because that's the one like iffy thing is that if you're getting it from your friend's friend, it could be covered in pesticides and mold and like all of this stuff that's detrimental for health and kind of negates the fact of using it as medicine. But all the good companies out there, the dispensaries out there, they all have lab results posted so you can see exactly like purity and no pesticides and all of that. So just do your research. Don't take any one person as fact. Use a lot of different resources and come to your own conclusion. And there's really, no right or wrong way to do it. And it's going to look different for everybody. And that's the cool thing about it.
I love that. And you also hit the nail on the head for me. Was like, you choose.
Yeah.
This is your choice. It's your choice to get curious about this info. It's your choice to also toss it. It's your choice to want to reach out to Alyssa. Like, although she may sell products in this realm, at the moment you guys are only servicing the US. Like, so there's a lot of you guys that she may not be able to like. It might not be her products you get, but she's still here willing to help and give you some support and guidance. And as I say, she comes highly recommended and trusted by me. So if we vibe and you trust me, like she's a good woman to reach out to. And I just want to thank you for coming on here. Like, we hadn't really connected verbally properly until today, and I'm just like I'm just so thankful to have you here. Like, normally I talk to my guests, I have a relationship with them before I even get them on, and like we've just been like chatting over like social media and stuff, but I've just already felt so much from you. I'm like, it's not that I want to get her on my podcast. I'm like, I have to get her here. And for helping me share this story, you're right, like it's not an easy one to do, and I'm sure some people aren't going to like it, but hey, that's for you guys. Like, just, yeah, I don't care if I can help someone. That's more important than someone liking what I'm saying. So yeah, that's why we're here. And again, it's also why you're here and what you're doing in the world. So yeah, go check her out. Get on the creeping. Just stalk her content's also funny and good. She also posts, and we talked about this off camera, and I'll let you guys go, I promise. But we talked about this off camera, and I love this about Alyssa is that it's not just her highlight reel. Instagram, we say, is everyone's highlight reel. She talks about the good, bad, and the ugly on there. She's encouraged me, without even knowing, to start sharing more of the good, bad, and the ugly too. And you just get a real person, and also someone, you kind of see her entrepreneurial journey as well as the CBD THC world out there. You just kind of see all a bit of her wonderful life. She shares it all, everything in between, and she's just beautiful. Her energy's beautiful. She lights me up. So, you know, whether you want to check her out to know more about CBD or THC or anything like that, regardless, she's just an awesome person to have in your Instagram. If you want someone who's real, less of the bullshit, and someone who's real, she's your girl. So go creep her. Creep. I've been creeping her like since like ever first came across her. So just creep her. And she's a human. Like, it might be a little bit scary when you see people you have like a decent following online. You're like, oh, I'm not going to message them. I don't want to bother them. Like, she's invited it. So chat to her.
With these conversations in my DM, like, it's what lights me up. Like she said, even if you're in a different country, like, I just love talking about this and love seeing other people want to get curious and want to start their healing journey. So please, I want to talk about it.
Awesome. Yay. Well, thank you. And thank you guys for listening and getting curious with us. Like I said, you know, I'd love to know your takeaways that you've had from this episode, whether you want to message either of us personally or if you want to share it down below. And I'd really encourage you guys to share it down below, because although this is a very personal experience, I think the reason we get so taboo and nervous about this stuff is because we don't know how other people will think. But I honestly, the first time you see someone else's comment and you're like, oh, I'm that way too, it starts to remove that stigma. So get curious, even talk to each other. Like, if you see someone commenting on something and you want to get to know what's behind their thoughts, like, chat. Let's make this a conversation. Let's start changing the world just that little step at a time. And thank you guys for listening. And I guess until next week, just stay safe, and we will chat to you soon. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast this week. I really look forward to hearing what you got from this episode, what you did with regards to your homework this week, and if there was any light bulb moments you had. So please make sure to let me know what you thought and what those moments were down below in the comment box. And make sure to subscribe to make sure you do not miss any new episodes. And if you want to be a part of the Rewrite Your Story community, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. And you can follow us at rewriteyourstory.ca on Instagram, Facebook, and our website.